Okay, hi. It's 4:14 here on the East Coast on President's Day, Monday. Quick video here to wrap up last week and to lead us into the Power Packed Week 6 of the course. Essentially, last week, right, we learned about the three financial statements. Statement of financial position, statement of activities, and statement of cash flow, right? The first discussion forum question we had last week was basically just to test whether or not you guys understood what the three three statements were, their purpose, how they're sort of their major components, etc. You all did pretty well there, so that's really good. The second discussion forum question had to do with bailouts. And that was really interesting discussion. Thank you so much for your comments. You seemed to really engage with one another in the class. That was also great. As I said in my, I guess, one standalone post at the end, Saturday night, I basically said the purpose of that discussion forum question was to highlight that not many people out there are going to want to bail you out, bail any nonprofit out. That was pretty clear from the sentiments of most of the post. So it just highlights the importance of you guys really knowing finances in and out, so that if you are leading a nonprofit, you don't make mistakes that leave your organization in a position where it, quote, needs a bailout, because there probably aren't going to be people there to do it. Okay? All right. So that was last week. And this week, I'll just read here. It says, we're going to learn how to look at financial data and glean the story told about the nonprofit organization's financial position. Okay? So, there's a lot of stuff in this week, but I want to highlight that the goal of the week is for you to understand how you can look at all that data, digest the data, and then be able to analyze it, and then come up with an understanding of the financial position of the nonprofit. That's sort of like one of the big chunks of the course in terms of learning objectives, because you then use that understanding to then make management decisions, right? That hopefully will improve and or maintain the good financial position that your organization's in, as you work in conjunction with your operational strategies in order to maximize mission. Okay, so mouthful there. So let's just back up for a moment. If we're thinking about the financial position of an organization, we want to know about its wealth, its profitability, and its liquidity, right? And we have financial statements that address each. Statement of financial position tells you about the wealth of an organization, how much it owns versus how much it owes. You have a second statement that talks about statement of activity, which compares revenues to expenses and so tells you about the nonprofit's profitability. And thirdly, you have the statement of cash position, or sometimes just statement of cash, which tells you sort of how the organization is using its cash and how much liquidity it actually has. Okay? This week, we're going to be talking about the financial ratios, right? And financial ratios are a way of focusing you on particular pieces of information that are hidden, or not hidden, but contained within financial statements. And they're particularly important if you compare the relative size of some of those totals in those data points within the statements. They can help, and by creating ratios out of those various data points, you can understand a little bit more how an organization is doing financially, right? And so that's what the ratios do. Now, there are two parts to this week's material, right? One is sort of just understanding the mechanics of how the ratios are created, and that's right. And there's a little presentation, right, that tells you step by step by step where you get these different data points, where they go in the different ratios, and how to actually calculate the ratio, right? And so we have ratios that have to do with sustainability, with profitability, and liquidity, okay? And they kind of line up then with somewhat with the purposes of the different financial statements. Let's see here. Yes, over to this note here. So we have the mechanics, and your first assignment of the week is to basically just do the mechanics of developing ratios and calculating them into decimal form or percentage form. And that's due midway through the week. I do that so that I can correct those quickly, get them back to you. You can understand where or how you're making any mistakes, if you're making any mistakes, and to be reassured that you're on target if you don't have any issues with it, okay? And then the second part of the week, in terms of the second assignment, is to reconfirm that you know the mechanics of how to calculate the ratios, but then to also think about what those ratios mean, okay? And what story do those ratios tell? Now, earlier in the course, right, we had the Tri-City Academy assignment, and you were basically trying to just understand Excel there, fine. But then we had the discussion forum question where we said, what do the numbers in the Tri-City revenue and expenses and the net cash flow at the bottom tell us about the financial position of the organization? Would you want to work for them based on that financial position? So we started to think a little bit about what's the story that financial numbers can tell us. That was only 4 months of data. Well, now you have 3 or 4 years of data. And so the question is, what story can you glean from that data, and do the calculations of ratios help you understand that story better? Okay, and that's the second part of the second assignment of the week, right? Think about what the numbers tell you. I think that's also a discussion forum question this week, because it's really important for you to think about not just, oh, I got this number, it's 0.05, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, but rather, okay, so what? What does it tell you? Okay, all right. Okay, I think that was it. All right. If you have any questions, please just call, right? Or send me a text, but call better. I'm always better at calling than I am at watching my texts or looking at the message board in the course. All right. So that's 413-237-7475. Okay. All right. Guess that's it. 9 minutes. Thanks. Hope you had you're enjoying your weekend if you're getting one. That is a longer weekend with the holiday today. Okay.